All right.
Right.
Hey now.
How is everybody doing today? Go ahead, Solid.
So
Launch
okay,
us off.
I was going to let you take lead, but okay. Welcome everyone back to episode 2 of Friendly Differences 2.0. I am Solid Blue Sister with my co-host DA Select, and we
In the
have today,
flesh.
y'all. Before we started the show and he popped on, I was gushing over him. So we have Thomas the villain. He's over there. He's over there blushing, but
I really am
y'all,
over here blushing.
and TikTok, y'all know what I'm talking about. But I truly believe that Thomas is going to be one of those mainstream people that you're going to turn on MSNBC or something, and he's going to be on there talking about something, and the person who's going to be in the next chair, with him talking about something is DA Select. So y'all, I'm happy today. So without further ado, DA, do you want to say anything else, or Thomas?
Well,
How y'all doing?
oh, go ahead, Thomas. Yeah, yes, please. I yield
Oh,
the floor to
hi.
Thomas. Go ahead.
How y'all doing? TikTok flamethrower and part-time old curmudgeon. How y'all doing?
And
I don't know
Katie?
what to say, man. I don't. I'm blushing because it's like, oh man, I'm
Well,
just a
I'm just
loudmouth.
saying. So, and
Look,
Katie,
look, look. I,
welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
So,
the pleasure is
um,
mine. Trust me.
well, trust me, just like I did that TikTok earlier. I said, the man we love, but the one they hate.
Yeah, I'm becoming very used to that. I'm becoming very used to not being liked very much. It's okay. I can live with it.
But the thing is, I tell you, Thomas, everyone I've ever talked to about you is in love with you.
mhm.
Everybody, it's either from the way you talk, from the way you act. Some people just love your nails. Some people just love your nails. That they'll see your nails, they'll be like, man, it's the black nails for me. And so people love Thomas the Villain. That's just what it is. People love you, and
I
I love
greatly
you too, my
appreciate
brother. I love you so much. I mean, I tell you, uh, early in my TikTok career, because we all call TikTok our careers, right?
it.
Uh, early in my TikTok career, I remember one of the very first times you followed me and I followed you, and not knowing each other, I just remember hitting the follow and the follow back button, and I seen how blunt you were, and I was like, you were one of the people I was like, I want to be like that. I want I want to be able to spit bars without stopping. Because if you look at my TikTok, I stop and I start again. I start. You spit bars from start all the way to 3 minutes. Like, how the heck do you be so on point for a whole 3 minutes, not mess up, no retakes? I'm sitting here, I do retake after retake after, but you do no retakes, just go all the way through. And that the most I can do is like 15-second video all the way through, but you go 3 minutes. And so
Yeah,
we're excited to have you here.
I appreciate that. It's years of not saying what I wanted to say. I'm None of this is new to me. This is stuff I felt since I was a kid. You know, it just so happens that I've actually found a niche. Being able to say what I want to say, and it just things kind of tend to flow. If I have an idea, I can make 3 minutes easily just off of that one idea. So it's new for a lot of people. This is just how I am. This is just how I am.
Okay.
But I'm so humbled you guys asked me to be on this. I really am. I
Well,
really am.
we're excited to have you. But we want to talk about the woke culture, and I know we're going. At least I am. I'm going to creep into to Florida,
Mm.
and because my I've been doing. I didn't do one yesterday, but in the last week I said I'm going after DeSantis. Just debunking all the stuff that he has, and I was able to actually get a copy of the 76 page of the AP uh, African
Honors, yeah,
American
African American.
Studies,
Hmm.
and
That thing's been making the rounds. Like
well,
as
well,
soon as
but if you read it, it's like it's apparent that he didn't read it, and even if he had people read it for him, whatever, to me is very. It's just wrong to sit up here
Okay,
and you want
well,
to,
but
So
before we
yeah.
start, before we start, I would really like to do this. y'all know yesterday they released a video of
Mhm.
of Mr. Nichols. And I would like to start. He was 29 years old. I would really love it if we can actually start this out by doing a 29-second moment of silence. I'll time it right here, just for the Nichols family. Please just have them on your mind, have them in your heart, and let's push positive energy their way. And that's what I would love to do right now. So if we can, even those in the chat, if you're in agreement with us, just be with us, and just throw some hearts in there, but or some prayer fingers, but some prayer hands. But let's go ahead and take a 29-second moment of silence for Mr. Nichols. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. As he makes his journey to being an ancestor, he's gone way too soon.
I
And
have to say something, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Lloyd, but
fine.
I have to say something. Um, there is a narrative that I desperately want my people to like literally just stop using. We don't have to watch these things. We don't. I mean, if you're as old as I am, you remember Rodney King. Okay. Yeah. You remember watching that for the very first time. And you're saying this is unimaginable. What did he do to get this? You know, because at first thought you go, what did he do to get this? From Rodney King on, it's almost as if Black people are becoming more conditioned to watch ourselves die. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's Breonna Taylor or Tatiana Jefferson, whether it's Botham Jean, whether it's Philando Castile or George Floyd, we are becoming more conditioned to watching ourselves die. And the sad part about that is the more we watch, the more we're cognizant of who else is watching. Because it's not just the fact that this young man is dead. There's always the death of the reputation. You know, this kid was a skateboarder. He was a goofy, young man. And there are people already trying to denigrate the fact that he died. And if I have any advice for my people, we don't have to watch that. We don't. Now, we can offer love and respect to the family. We can offer prayers to the family, but we do not necessarily have to watch this body cam footage. I didn't like the George Floyd broke me. George Floyd finally, I said, I can't do this anymore. So, the Amir Locke, I watched that by accident. The only reason I saw that Amir Locke footage was because I was watching news at the time. And they showed it walking in, and then they showed him literally not even touching anything, and he was dead. I could not watch Patrick Loyola. I can't watch this because it's just it's too tragic. And the one thing I would like to see Black folks, not so much get over, but we don't have to know every blow. We don't have to know every kick and every punch, because all it does is it eats at us. The only people they don't eat is the same sellouts who will sit up and say that the cops did nothing wrong in the first place. We have to protect our peace. We got
Thomas, the show is Friendly Differences, and maybe this is one of our differences. Mm-hmm. I agree. You don't have to watch, but I think we have to watch. You don't have to watch, but I think we should watch. Mm-hmm. And my reason for watching is because we have to bear witness.
We do.
And that's what I mean. We have to bear witness. So no one else can feed us a false narrative of a story. Now, I understand if you have enough people tell you what the story is, you're gonna believe it. But I was on Dr. Carr this morning, and Dr. Carr was talking about to bear witness is and you're right. It's not watching over and over like as if it was trauma porn. Mm-hmm. But I think we have to bear witness because he was ours, and we become him at the time that we're watching. I remember
Exactly.
watching. I remember watching. Every blow I hurt. You know,
Mhm.
when I seen the cop came and when he kicked him in the face, my face hurt.
Yep.
I mean, like literally, I felt the shockwave go through my body as the other one came and got the club out, and I flinched watching it. And I remember yelling. I'm at my phone saying, "Stop it! Stop! Don't do that! Stop!"
Hmm.
I just remember that. I remember the hurt and the pain that I had when I was watching it. Wife in the car, daughter in the car, tears in my eyes, and I'm like, "Stop it! We all just stop it," because it was hard to see.
It's
Maybe
it's
and,
the
and, and, maybe, and maybe I was too young. Maybe I was too young to remember Rodney King. I remember I was in high school, so maybe it didn't hit me the same way, because it didn't. It did not hit me the same way.
yeah.
I wasn't as, and I love that we're getting to this. I wasn't as woke as I was.
Neither was, and the thing is, I was approaching my militancy when Rodney King happened, and the very first thing I remember saying, because I remember my mother watching it, she's like, that poor child. You know, Rodney's in his 30s, and you're watching this man crawling, arm up, and they're still swinging like they have baseball bats.
Mhm.
And after a certain point, you go, is he human? They're not. This is not a human being they're treating like this.
That's
Well,
right.
well, Thomas, let me ask this. So, do you think that when you say that we shouldn't watch it, because I go back to Emmett Till, when
Hmm.
Mamie Till said she wanted the world to see what they did to her baby.
Yes, yes,
So it's like, like Da said, I don't think that you have to keep watching it over and over and over. But at the same time, we do need to see it, especially our younger people who we kind of, they're kind of lost, and we kind of didn't pass a lot of things down. This is
hmm
what's been going on, and this is why I hate for you know for white people to say you all should move on, but we can't move on because tomorrow is going to be the same thing that happened yesterday.
exactly. I think the reason I said that is because there is a level of rage that you reach after every one of these.
That is true.
You know, whether you see the video or not, there's not um a detailed video of Breonna Taylor dying, but you know she's dead, and you know the circumstances behind it.
True.
So you've got that hidden rage that black people carry this with us constantly. I recognize it in myself. I carry a level of rage within me
Mhm.
that, you know, I have to navigate this world. I got to navigate America. I've got to navigate, oh, well, you were a soldier, but now you're not. I have to navigate the feelings of
That's
these
right.
people,
That's
right?
right.
So in navigation, we're talking regular life things. The microaggressions that black women are going to suffer just going into the work area. There's
Mhm.
going to be somebody that don't like your hair, or they don't like your perfume, or they don't like you wearing flats rather than high heels or whatever. They're going to you're already dealing with that. You're dealing with having to work a job that may not appreciate you.
That's right.
When it comes to police violence against us, it's almost like we to watch it. Let me rephrase. If we watch it, we have to watch it with the historical eye, because if we feed into that anger, it's going to kill us.
Mhm.
And the thing is, the reason I said George Floyd broke me was because that's 8 minutes and 43 seconds of everybody telling that man to get off of him.
Actually, 9 minutes and 29
Not
seconds.
9 minutes and 29 seconds of people telling him, telling that cop, telling Chauvin to get his knee off his neck. You're gonna kill him. You're gonna kill him. You're gonna kill him. And to see the cavalier attitude that Derek Chauvin had to it I wasn't ready for the Ahmaud Arbery video. I was
Oh
not
my
ready
God.
for it.
That's the video that broke me.
That
I remember boo-hooing when I seen the video of them saying, get him, and he dodged them. This is not the shoot. When I was like, hold on, they were hunting him down.
Yes.
He was dodging them like tired. That video, I wanted to say, another reason why we had to bear witness is because of false narratives of stories. When you first heard about him getting away from the cops and running, when you first hear that, in my mind, I've already tried to fight the narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
I already tried to fight the narrative of the fight or flight narrative before I even seen it. I'm like, if we're doing wrong, and someone runs, they have these high speed chases, people get out and run.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, even prior to seeing part one, something already told me that, and maybe it was the police chief firing them so quick that I was like, she knew he had to run. And when you watch that, he was so justified for running.
Yes.
Like, I mean, on the ground. Okay, I'm on the ground. Leave me alone. I mean, all those things. And I'm glad this is a great segue into woke culture. This is gonna be a great segue into it. And so as he's on the ground, and I like how you said we got to look at it historically, right? And we all know I love history. I love Black history. That's what I love. But when you look at it historically and talk about the slave patrols and talking about, people must understand that. And when people will say, well, these men were Black, don't you understand that we've always had Black slave catchers?
Always.
But
I'm surprised people still don't think of that. But go ahead.
But that's the thing that's also disappointing to me is that I'm like, you had 5 Black men doing this to someone who looks like you.
Yep. And
it's like, that just makes it even worse.
To me, I've said this all along, and I use the Titanic, the Titanic analogy. America is the Titanic. Racism and historical racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia are the iceberg, right? So the Titanic's gonna hit the iceberg. That story has never changed since 1912. All right, bunch of people gonna die. Not all of us are gonna make it. That's how I look at it. There are some Black people, and I won't say they're beyond saving. I will say that their mentality is not. It's not strong enough. They have bought into all of the flashing lights and the pretty things, and they've forgotten your entire existence started out as owned. You were property. You were look at your lawnmower out back right now. That was you. Look at your weed eater. That was you. Think about, okay, well, I got to go rake these leaves up. You got to get a rake. You were the rake. You were the bag. You were owned. So when I see these people who try to pretend like these things haven't happened or they were so long ago, I think in terms of the Titanic. That's one of the ones in the water. That's it. They're either going to drown or freeze to death. We can't save all of us. I'd love to be able to, but we cannot. Them 5 Black cops were not Black cops. They were cops. They just so happened to be.
I love that. Black.
So they did what cops do. I've watched my white coworker beat a man half to death, and when they came and asked me, what did you see? I didn't see anything. Because when the blue wall of silence is stronger than your own self-worth, you done. You are one of the ones that's gonna freeze to death in the ice. That's how I look at it. That keeps me from snapping. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that keeps me from snapping. Looking at them and realizing they weren't going to make the trip with us in the first place. Whatever liberation looks like for Black people, whatever equity and equality looks like for Black people, certain ones of us ain't gonna get it. The Candace Owenses and the Jason Whitlocks aren't gonna get it. Those 5 Black cops are not gonna get it. The guys who the Black cops who are the cops who just so happen to be Black who are on the force and know when their white co-workers do the exact same thing. Well, I gotta cover them. The blue wall, I gotta worry about the blue wall. You ain't gonna make it. You gonna drown. You gonna drown. There's a limited amount of lifeboats and you are in the water. And I don't feel bad for them. I don't. I hope they throw. Now, we can talk about the speed and expediency of these 5 cops getting fired, arrested and charged, as opposed to their white coworkers who they'd still be on administrative leave right now.
That's right.
But the fact is, there are 5 cops who just so happen to be black, and they were cops before they were anything else. They're not gonna make it.
Well, I did compare the swiftness of the firing and the indictments or whatever else compared to the Ronald Green people who took 2019. We're talking 5 years later, and we're still waiting to see what's going on.
Well, also you have to also take in consideration the police chief and her background and where she comes from. A lot of times, these police chiefs they allow a lot of things to go on under their watch. Listening to her, I think she truly felt ashamed that her department did this. Just listen to her. I think
she did. She did.
Yeah, I can honestly say I seen genuine disgust when she talked about her ex, people that worked with her. She talked about how she had to work swiftly on this, and I really think that that's what set the precedence was her doing that. And do I think she'd done it if it was white cops? I think she would have, because of who she is. Because her as of right now, her character is not in question. Until people start bringing out other things about that department, I just can't question her character based off of what she did. But as far as these, I love how you said it. They're cops. They just so happen to be black.
Yep.
And I like how Dr. Carr said it this morning. He talked about one thing here in America is Black death is shared amongst white people, black people, Latino people, indigenous people. Something about seeing Black death is something that is it's okay with them. The culture of Black death in America has been since 1619, since 1526, since 1777. The culture of Black death has always been about us dying. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's where the idea of wokeness comes from. Wokeness is basically, okay, we're not going to hide this anymore. Because I'm doing a video essay right now on wokeness, this idea of what woke is.
Awesome.
The fact is, when it's used by these right-wing talking heads, it's supposedly a bad thing. Well, wokeness, this woke, this, that woke. Jason Whitlock was saying because we had these 5 black officers fell under a black woman, it was a sign of wokeness. No, she earned the position. Okay, that woman's got 5 stars on her. She earned it. So there was no wokeness involved in it. But when the talking heads use woke, it's a bad thing. Wokeness, if anybody really wanted to understand what wokeness is what wokeness is, you got a whole house fire, right? And people are dying in it. They're trying to put it out. It's like 5 alarm blaze or what have you. Okay. At the end of it, when you finally get the fire out, you're going to want to know how that started. Something that big and that massive that killed that many people. You're going to want to know how that is. Wokeness is trying to discover why the fire was started in the first place.
And woke is all. Another thing that bugs me is woke is also a black term.
It absolutely is.
We have to stay aware, watch our backs, always know what is going on. And little bitty guy down in Florida is turning it into just this nasty liberal anti-black thing, and the conservatives always buy into it.
They do, because
and the people who have bought into it the most, and they started doing this when we were slaves, were the poor white people, who the rich people said, well, y'all are better than them, so y'all could, beat they butt and everything because y'all are better, but they're still keeping them down.
Exactly.
You look at the 8 poorest states in this country are in the South. They are red. They keep voting in these same people, these multimillionaires who are doing nothing for you, but you keep voting in. So you're not voting for your own, well-being. You're voting your whiteness.
And I said this in a video a couple of days ago. If you look at the GOP since 1980, since Ronald Reagan wrote in, they wanted him in 76, Gerald Ford won, Ronald Reagan didn't get a chance to unleash whatever it was that he actually did on the rest of us until 1980. Since 1980, the Republican Party has had absolutely no ideas, no new ones, other than tax cuts and privatization. That's it. That is all they've ever had. But what they are masters at are wedge issues. If you can get a poor white man, and I know I'm talking poor, not poor because he can't afford the OR. I'm talking poor. You can get a poor white man to believe that the Democrats want your guns, the Negro Acorn Army of Obama's coming to get your guns, and they're coming to get your Bibles, and they're coming to get your Jesus, and they want what you have. You can sell these people on anything. It's LBJ's words come back to haunt the rest of us. If you can convince the poorest white man that he's better than the best black man, he will not notice that you're picking his pockets. Wokeness, especially when, and I call Ron DeSantis Build-A-Bear blockhead. I mean every damn word of it. He is built like if you were carving a chess piece and stopped. That's what Ron DeSantis looks like. He looks like you carved the head of a chess piece, but you left the rest of it as a block except for the feet. That's Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis knows for a fact that plays well in Florida because those people are stupid. It's just, I'm calling it what it is. The Republicans down in Florida are dumb. So, of course, he can sell them on wokeness. And then he can say, we're going to war with Disney, the biggest employer in the state of Florida. We're going to war with them because of wokeness. And these dumb people are sitting there cutting their economic throat, bleeding all over his nice new shoes, so that he can cut taxes for people who would walk over these bloody poor folk and privatize anything that would help these poor people. So the reason they keep talking about woke so much is because they have nothing else.
I mean, you know, and Thomas, you keep, this is one thing I love about you. You just point, 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 point. It's like you hit those points like point, 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 ding, 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 ding. Yeah. You get the teddy bear, you know, at the carnival.
At the fair, that's right.
You keep knocking down all the bottles, and I'm, you know, so. But I mean, what you're saying is correct, but it's like, at what point? How long is it going to take for these people to be woke to see? We're talking about people who have no health care. They have nothing until the Affordable Care Act came. Yep. But then they're like, I don't want Obamacare. And we all saw that video. Well, I don't want Obamacare. I want the Affordable Care.
But can I segue real quick on that? You know, for me, and y'all know me, I'm you know, I do it for the culture, I do it for us. But when I think of the word woke, right? You know, when I think of woke, honest to God, truth, I don't care about the social structure. I care about the governance. I don't care what anybody that's not black care about woke, because when I think of the word woke, I go back to a certain time where, and y'all know this movie, Wake Up! Yeah.
Do the right. Listen,
school days.
Yeah, school days. It was like School Days was the opening. We kind of saw. It's like, okay, Spike's about to do something. Then he did Do the Right Thing. It was like, oh, now we understand it. But you go back to this idea of you live in a society that does not value you. They don't value your work. They don't value what you bring to the table. They don't value your looks. They don't value anything. Okay. So we have this society that does this. We play a very tenuous game with each other. You know, hey, DA Select, I'm going to hire you to do this job. Don't do nothing else. I just want you to do this particular job right here. You handle this right here. I'm going to hire another person to handle the second half of what you're doing. So you aren't even really being appreciated for all the things you bring to the table. You're only being appreciated for that one thing. And you have a group of people that have nothing going on. There's some dire straits in America, especially amongst white people. There is some dire straits going on amongst white people. And they have been fed this bill of goods for so long. We're going beyond, like, when the slave owners finally realized that, hey, if we don't tell the overseers that they're better than these guys, we're going to wake up one morning and it's going to be black and white folks killing us. So they go to these really poor, dirt poor white folks, and they say, hey, just based on the color of your skin, you're better. And
that's what Bacon's Rebellion.
Yep, and they sell it, and they continue to sell it. They continue to sell it over and over and over and over and over. Well, now you have people who they need government assistance, need it. White as hell, need government assistance. They're not gonna eat tonight if they don't get it. They're not gonna be able to pay their bills if they don't get it. Right now, they're literally one missing subway check away from being homeless.
That's right.
They will continue to tell you that, well, the black man doesn't work. The black woman doesn't work. And who told these people this? The same folks who are now trying to give them this idea of wokeness. All wokeness is you know where you are in this world. You know I know for a fact I'm a heart attack away from financial ruin. My insurance is this. My health care is this. My food bills are this. I'm one bad paycheck away from it. Okay, I'm one bad paycheck away from it. So when you come talk to me about trans books, or you come and talk to me about the 1619 Project, the first thing I'm gonna think is, how do I eat this? Can I put this on a plate? The stuff that you're telling me to be against, can I eat this? Can I feed this to my kids? Is this going to help me get welfare? Is this going to help me to get health care? If it's not, why am I talking about it? That to me is wokeness. And the reason these idiots are against it, the reason the Fox Newses and the One American News Networks are against it, is because if more poor white people started to become woke, they would realize this is a Ponzi scheme. I'm working my ass off and I got nothing. The trailer I'm living in is about to be repossessed. The house that I live in has a hole in the roof where we put plastic and everything else over the top of it. You would start to see your situation for being what it is, and you would start to be honest with it. History shows you that the same people who will vilify us will forget you.
Exactly.
And if they're telling you that the people they vilified are coming in with curriculum and books to tell you that this country's always been like this, that's a problem. But it doesn't change it from not being true. Mm-hmm. This is how America has always operated under a serf system. The only difference is we tell the serfs, well, you got guns, you got freedom, you got a bunch of liberty. They have no other plan. There is no other plan for them to have except tax cuts and privatization. Tax cuts only serve the people who can afford to hire 4 or 5 different attorneys to deal with their taxes. Mm-hmm. Privatization only helps rich folks. It don't help the poor, but it keeps these same poor white people believing in this idea of, if I I'm just going to pick myself up by my bootstraps. That's all. And the thing is, if they said it that way, you would see a hell of a lot more white people turning it off.
Well, I mean, but okay, so
it's 1619 Project, and come on.
So my question is this: Fred Hampton in Chicago, where Solid is from, once had what they call the Rainbow Coalition, right?
Yes.
Where he had the Young Lords, right? Yeah, the original. He had the Young Lords. He also had a group called I think Hyde Thurman with his book Revolutionary Hillbilly, but they called themselves the Patriots, the Young Patriots.
Yep.
And then you had the Black Panther Party, who and Fred Hampton, was able to convince or sway or show those the poor working white man who lived in trailer parks, who was getting the short end of the stick. They was able to talk to them and show them why us coming together was important. The thing is, now when we try and tell them why us coming together, they always want to talk about they want to break down by party. Oh, you must be a Democrat. You must be, and for some reason they hold strong on to Republicanism or white nationalism. They hold on to it so hard that even when you're exposed to them, that they need us just as much as we need them to go after this government, you can show them to your blue in the face, and what they'll say is, well, then let's do this and let's all become Republicans and do it. It's like, do you understand that they are the ones that are exploiting you too? Just like
why you need more than 2 political parties in this
Yes.
country, at least 4, because 2 is just not doing it because both of them are screwing everybody over.
Exactly.
right.
So
The
you
rich
need
are
that.
always the rich are always going to get taken care of. The rich in America are always going to get taken care of. It does not matter. The poor, on the other hand, they find a way to keep the poor divided. Now look at what they actually did to Fred Hampton. The rest of the Panthers got jail time, but with Fred Hampton, they had to kill him.
Well, not only did they
Jail, he
not
would have been
kill
bigger than he
him,
was.
you're talking about somebody who did not have a gun, and they were cowards, and they did it when he was asleep. The man had almost 190 something bullets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the mattress was so drenched with blood. So and this is where I come back and say, and one of my friends who I know is listening right now, I'm not going to say any names. This person says, just pure evil. These people are just pure evil.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the evil that has been done, and I always say when I hear about stuff like that, it's like, and y'all call us animals?
Yes.
Seriously?
The things that our federal government have done to American citizens defies comprehension sometimes. It absolutely, not just here.
That's right.
But what it has done around the world. There's revolutionary fervor in almost every country that America's touched. Why? Because there's only so much you can do to a populace before it decides to bounce back. You know what I mean? Like you're not at now. The way it's been done is when the bounce back does show up. Our little CIA likes to be able to point and go, see, it was them over there. Go over there. And next thing you know, you have a civil war going on.
That's right.
Well, how did this happen? At first, everybody was on the same page. Well, they come in and they cleave. Well, in America, that's where they learned how to do it. If you can keep somebody believing in partisanship, they will. That's the new update for the LBJ thing. If you can convince the poorest Republican that a Democrat is the one that is taking something from them, they will not notice when you're the one taking it from them. That's where partisanship works in that way, because it keeps everybody fighting on, oh, well, the Democrats are the ones that are fighting for us and the Republicans are fighting against us. Well, over here, the Republicans are fighting for us and the Democrats are fighting against us. I see 2 old political parties, both of whom have had their hands knee deep, almost up to the elbow in racism.
Right.
And they have managed to be able to keep people divided and stupid about that division in order for them to be able to get the same donor, because the same donor money comes from both sides.
Well, I have a question. I have a question for both of you. What the hell does any of that have to do with the AP history class?
That
African American Studies.
Let me show you. All right. So everybody knows that America is a slogan factory. We love our slogans. Americans love our slogans. Freest in the world, best in the world. America is a short man complex, and the nukes are our gun. That's it. AP history shows that we're not that great. AP African American history shows that no, we've been really great at slogans. We have not been that great. We haven't. Compared to the rest of the world. If you look at simply our math scores and our history scores, we score lower than everybody on the planet. But you can't sell American flags off of that. You got to have a population that believes in that. And if you teach AP American history, which I'm sorry to say, slavery is a part of it, everybody starts to feel bad. Enough people feel bad, enough people start questioning things. Well, now we have a problem. Wait a minute. Whoa. People aren't just actively going out here trying to hunt down this American dream until death. And then they're teaching their kids to hunt down the American dream till death. Like they were taught to hunt down the American dream until death. Oh, my daddy believed in the American dream and died of a heart attack at 65. AP African American history is literally that's that uncomfortable conversation you get ready to have, where you're sitting there going, so with all that freedom and liberty, you couldn't offer freedom to them slaves? You couldn't offer a little bit of history to that? You couldn't, you know what I mean? That's what that represents. That's what the idea of wokeness represents. It's not having a frank and honest conversation about these things, because you will, if we told the truth, America, we'd have some problems. There were
I have a question then.
Therapy.
I have a question. Solid or any, help me out. Then how from being woke and talking about true history, how in understanding the true history of America, because you cannot tell the history of America without the story of the black people and indigenous people. You can't do it. And our Latinos to the South. But my next question is, why anytime we start talking about real history, do black conservatives say it's victim mentality?
Because they've been, let me use one of Ron DeSantis's words, his favorite word. They've been indoctrinated. They've been indoctrinated. The Tim Scotts and the Candaces and all these other, and the Diamond and Silk and all these other people, they've been indoctrinated. I mean, you look at what Silk did at her sister's funeral. Did you see that? It was disgusting.
I'm not. All right, so now I got to tell me what happened, because I'm not in like
it that. Was you got to YouTube it. She gets up there, supposed to talk about her sister that just passed away, and it was a whole Republican convention on
rally speech. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You expect the Republican nominations to be black.
Seriously? Yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, so they've been indoctrinated. So I'm gonna use DeSantis's favorite word. Yep. That's exactly what it is.
I think the black conservative is like the biggest waste of melanin in America. They absolutely are. They are literally the biggest waste of melanin in America, because naturally, and I'll even say this, in a natural way, black folks are more conservative than a lot of people give us credit for. The Nation of Islam is a very big conservative movement, and there's nothing wrong with it. Black conservatives have existed throughout our since Booker T. Washington was one of the biggest black conservatives. Mm-hmm. The new ones, the brand new, fresh out of the box Candace Owens clones, they're sellouts. There's a reason I call them Coonesians, because they have to kiss up. Candace Owens, this is how I feel about Candace Owens. I know where Candace Owens stands. I don't have to listen to her. I don't have to hear her. I don't have to read anything she says. I just have to look at the situation. If a black woman has a problem in America with a white woman, I already know where Candace is going to go. I know. I don't even have to look. I go up. She's going to be on the side of the white woman. And sure enough, I'm never mistaken. That train is never late. If it's two black people, Candace will find the one who dates white women or hangs out with white people, or you see him, being that one, the black friend. Candace will find that person. Same thing with Jason Whitlock. These conservatives, they're a waste of melanin, because they are stick stirrers. If you have a big old pile of crap, they're the stick that stirs it up so that it doesn't stick to the side of the bowl. That's what they do. That's their purpose. Everybody knows for a fact Candace Owens started her media rise or whatever as a liberal. Mm-hmm. She did. She was like pro-black. Same thing with Diamond and Silk. Yep. These were pro-black women. These two women, Diamond and Silk, were out there trying to lead protests for what happened to Sandra Bland. So you mean to tell me Candace Owens used the NAACP to sue a town for racism? Right. Diamond and Silk were so pro-black that they were ready to riot for Sandra Bland. And then Trump showed up and they became conservative? Yeah, they did. It's a show for them. That's their whole purpose. And the fact that Everybody can talk about woke, including these black conservatives, but they never ask anybody who actually knows what woke means.
Mm-hmm.
Tucker will have Candace on the show. Tucker will have Jason Whitlock on the show. Candace will not have the two of you on it. Won't. Will not happen. It will not happen. I can see him reading off the teleprompter release. Call DA Select, and this is Solid Blue Sister. Why do you hate white people? That would be the first question out of his mouth.
But you know what? But you know what, Thomas? But on the opposite side, at least I would, and I think that the DA would too. I would want them on our show so we can have this talk and chat and say, okay, let's talk about this. But you're absolutely right. They will not have us because we would be pushing back and telling the truth.
Well, it's not just that will be pushing back. It's just once you're able to punch holes in their unwatertight narrative, like there's this gentleman even on TikTok. He'll sit there and he tells the worst truth in the world, and I tell you, people eat it up. You know what he says? He says black people own just as much houses as white people during redlining.
Make that make sense. Make that make sense.
So, right. So I asked him a question
for a reason.
Right. And I asked him, I said, so why was redlining illegal? Well, it was illegal because it was illegal. No. Stop.
Don't run.
I'm like, do you understand the systematic oppression and stopping black people from entering into the middle class? I said, do you understand that? Do you understand not black people not allowing to take money out on their homes to send their kids to college? Do you understand that? Do you understand how they systematically stop black people from generational wealth? Do you understand that? Do you understand that even when they put black people in neighborhoods, they'll then build supermarkets, freeways or railroads through those neighborhoods. So therefore, drawing the price, or they'll put a nuclear waste site in the black neighborhoods, drawing the price of their homes down. So therefore, if I bought a home that was $100,000 after they were done with their freeway, my home was only $60,000. I lost equity where they will put money into white communities and ensure that they all had a chance to actually gain equity in their homes. So I always ask them a question: even if black people did buy just as much houses as white people during redlining, tell me why was it illegal?
And you will never get one out of them. That's the crazy part. I look at, and this is why I call them Coonesians. They are there to be the people who make the arguments that white supremacists wouldn't make without getting smacked. That's a Coonesian's job, is to be the mouthpiece for whatever crappy piece of legislation, crappy thought process.
Have you heard this one? Another person on TikTok, I'm not going to use names because they're not here to defend themselves, but there's another one who talks about, I got out of prison and started my own lawn care system. And trust me, how you make your money, I promise you, I don't care. More hats off to you. But what I will say is, do you understand you were funneled into starting to make your own lawn care system? Why? Because you got out with a felony, no one else wanted to hire you. So the only way you can survive is go around and say, I'll start cutting grass. I said, now when he says it's self a landscaper, I'm like, dude, you are not cutting bushes into nice animals. Stop. Pause. You're not doing that. All right. You're not cutting bushes into nice animals. I said, you are literally going. I said, and like I said, I'm not knocking your hustle. If you got to a point where a whole subdivision contracted you out, man, that is awesome. But understand, everybody cannot do that. And they always sit there and say, well, I'm not oppressed, this and that. You stop back there, stop having that victim mentality. And I tell them, it's not about a victim mentality. I'm glad that you got your hustle. I'm glad that you're able to do that. But do you understand that you were supposed to be, and this is what I'm trying to explain, you were supposed to be a second-class citizen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they wanted you to be. You were supposed to be a second-class citizen. And what I want them to understand is, I'm glad that you made it. I'm so happy that you made it. But I want you to understand I want you to understand the higher percentage of people that have been to prison do not have an opportunity to make it. They'll say, well, I did it. No. You see, you can't use that type of, you can't use that what we call that you can't use because you're one that made it out. That you can't anecdotal. You can't use anecdotal. I'm talking about you got to use the whole as a whole. Most people that go to prison Most people that have a felony, most people that they do not have the opportunity to start their own business. They do not have the opportunity. None of them have the chance to go to college, so they're not going to do it better that way. And if some did get out and go to college, like I said, more power to them. That's great that they do that. So for me, I had a long conversation with one of my friends, and what he was saying was, he said, we spend a lot of time talking about history, which I'm glad I do talk about history. That's my niche. And he says, but we're not teaching. He said, but we're not teaching people how to be. We're not teaching black people how to be good capitalists. And I kicked back on what he was saying, and we went back and forth. And finally, I was like, you know what? We do need to teach people how to navigate this world of capitalism, because while we're living in it, we have to navigate it.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? We do. Right. In other words, I think we should be actively thinking of ways to shut it down. But I think but the woke part of our culture is understanding that, guess what? Us having this type of skin, we got to maneuver traffic stops different.
Yes.
We have to maneuver walking in a store different. If I have a hoodie on and I'm putting my wallet in my hoodie, I look at the camera, show them I'm putting my wallet in my hoodie. This is not your goods, because we have to maneuver like different. Right. And
that's what I didn't understand when Jason Whitlock said that LeBron James is too rich to be a victim of racism.
Oh wow!
As if LeBron's bank account can stop a bullet from a cop. Do you really? How many sports stars? How many famous people? The former president of the United States, Barack Obama, said he has been pulled over by the cops, and people were aghast, like. Except black folks weren't shocked. They're like, of course he was. Every black person has that traffic stop story. That I got a cop, he's in a bad mood. I was 5 miles over the speed limit, or I have my driver's license, but I didn't have my insurance card. For us, that's a death sentence. But
it's ridiculous that we have to teach our children how to behave in a traffic stop, to do this, because white people are not teaching their children that. They don't have to say, well, make sure you have your hands on the wheel and you don't do this and don't touch this and yes, officer, no, officer. I mean, they don't have to do that. They're cursing the cop. Hell, Jar Jar Gabor is slapping cops.
Yes, and the thing is,
slapping cops.
We know this. This is a reality for black people. But I go back to this idea of wokeness and Coonesians. Their whole line in this, to tell that story, what you just said, my sister, what you literally just said, we have to teach our kids how to act during a traffic stop. They would consider that woke. Why? Well, cops are only here to protect. No, they're not. Here's 10 examples in 2023. We'll just say 10 examples in 2023 where cops, we didn't navigate right, and people lost their lives or lost their freedom. So for us to tell that's wokeness. If what do you hate cops? I've said this before. You got 1,000 cops, 999 of them are doing the job right. One of them isn't. The other 999 don't snitch. You got 1,000 bad cops. Mm-hmm. And knowing this, we navigate differently. We move differently. We teach our kids to move differently. But to bring that up in white society is going to make some people uncomfortable, because most of the people in that room think cops are great. They're our best friends. And no.
But Thomas, you're forgetting one thing. Don't forget, if you people would only.
That's right. Oh yes. But
but if they would only, if you people would only,
if they just did what the cop said, I can tell you this, I'm trying my best to break my way out of it. And I know a lot of it's part of being in the military, and some of it's not. And it's like when there's white people that come around, you change your entire vernacular.
You do.
I'm sorry.
It's quick as hell.
It just happens when a white person says something, and it's not that I disrespect, and people must understand. And hear me out. If I'm professional saying sir or ma'am, that means I don't know you. When I see black people, And you know, if it's someone I don't know, I'll say sorry, man. But there's more like how you doing, what's up, giving that head nod. That's
Mhm.
something about us, and when we're here together. But you know, if a white person holds the door open for me, I say, thank you, sir, thank you, ma'am. But if a black person holds something open for me, hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, what's
Yeah.
up, man? What's going? You know, there's some type of there's a different vernacular that changes when you're around black people and white people, and it doesn't mean that you have more respect for white people. It really means I don't know who the hell you are, and I can't be myself around you, and
No.
I have to talk like this because for some reason it's a way to keep myself safe. I mean, it's just
Yes.
crazy. It's crazy how we do that.
We black folks have this innate, and I said this. I said black women have saved this republic more times than I care to count. Black women have. Just in politics, black women have saved the republic for going down a very ugly path because black women are the ultimate truth tellers. Black women they've had to take it from society, they've had to take it from white men, they've had to take it from white women, they've had to take it from black men. So they are the ultimate truth tellers. If a black woman tells you, don't follow this person, 9 times out of 10, you should not follow that person.
Yeah.
When it comes to this idea of teaching history, one of the uglier aspects of American history is how the black woman was treated. You know, I was watching the 1619 Project.
Yes.
For the first time in world history. It used to be guy puts his thing in a woman, baby comes out, it's his, and that child is entitled to everything this man has earned. For the first time in the world history,
yeah,
they changed the laws to where if the child comes out of a black woman, it doesn't get any of what its father.
Well, you mean you mean they follow her her condition.
Yes,
and
it was an easier way for them to enslave their own children. Well, it ain't my child; it came out of a black woman. So
right.
you teach that, and they call that woke. Why? It's what actually happened.
Yeah, in fact,
we operate, and that's why I said black folks operate differently.
Well,
we have to
yes,
because
our
a
shared
survival
history.
mode.
Well, yeah, Thomas, have you ever heard of the beating of Hugh Davis?
I've heard about it, but I didn't get all the way into the story.
Right. So in Virginia, I believe it was 1630, a Virginia man was caught having intercourse, or should I say having sex with his enslaved black woman. And let me tell you this: if you're enslaved, there's no such thing as consensual. I'll say that again. There's no such thing as consensual, but he was caught. And what happened is they brought him in front of the entire Virginia colony and they beat him. And they beat him because whiteness was something you can only fall from. He was beat because he defiled whiteness.
Yep.
And then 10 years later, a white man was caught and got a black woman pregnant. They beat her as if it was her fault.
Yes.
And then sent the man to church to go pray. And so it's just
he gets the Lord, she gets the whip. Make that make sense.
It doesn't make none. But they don't want us to talk about that.
Of course not.
Yeah, they don't want us to talk about the Virginia law that you just talked about, that they literally changed to make sure that because white men seen that they for some reason had a fetish for these black women. Mm-hmm. All right, and they kept on going up in these black women, having these children, and they said if we keep on having these children and they follow after our likeness, guess what? We can't enslave them. So these white men had to come in and have a meeting, and see, now this is being woke. They had a meeting and said, "Hey,
that's the wokeness."
Exactly. So what we're gonna do now is to make sure that our enslavement doesn't dry up. To make sure that doesn't happen, what we got to do is we're gonna go ahead and flip it and say, you know what? The baby of said woman now follows her condition. Now what that means is that if it comes out of a black woman, guess what? That is now an enslaved person because it's called a mom.
Yeah, it's an enslaved.
Now look at what they did with the double part of it. What they did with the double part of it is if a man has sex with a white woman, now he raped her, and guess what? He defiled her. And for some reason, now we got to get him.
White virtue.
Exactly. So
White
that's
person.
exactly, and people don't understand that's where this big hypersexuality of a black man wants to be with a white woman and all this other
Mhm.
stuff, and then they the was it the Ides of Pines came out and started talking about the seduction of black women to white man, and then of
Mhm.
course people don't understand also this is where the Salem witch trials came in of black women seducting white men,
Yep.
and
Yep.
they became the witches, and so it
But
just
imagine teaching this. Now imagine you start, because there is a way to teach about American history for every grade, from kindergarten all the way up to undergraduate. There's a way to do it. But imagine how tasty do those slogans sound when that's part of your history, where white men changed the law to where they did not have to be responsible for raping what their property and
That's right.
creating a child that, by all accounts, before they change the law, should be a part of your lineage. If
But
you are
that's where,
Virginian,
all the stereotypes come in, and that's where you look at somebody like Thomas Jefferson, you know, and the way the Jefferson side, the white side of the family, was fighting so much against the
Hemming side.
Hemming side, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but I am your cousin because your great grandfather, you know, raped my great grandmother, and you know, so it's like the history is there, and again, when people say, "Oh, I'm trying to move forward, and we should move forward," we can do that. We want to move forward too, but damn, y'all keep doing shit to bring us back.
Well, actually, for us, we only can move forward when there's when one, not just equality, but you got to give me something that's equitable 1st.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then comes this thing about reparations. If you start teaching it right, if people only knew, another reason why they don't want you to understand, they don't want people to truly understand that they allow white Northerners to come down and outbid black Southerners for land.
Yes.
Well, first of all, no, you mean that the land that was promised to these black people that they worked and made livable.
Article 15.
Yeah,
Article 15.
Order 15 came. Order 15 came around the same time, right? And Order 15 came in 2 different places. It came in the Davis Bend area in Mississippi. And then it also came in the Gulf Coast, the Gulf area over there by Beaufort, South Carolina, which they called the Sea Islands. And so when they made this Special Order 15, they didn't understand that. Now he did not give them true. He did not give them a true. What is that called? He didn't give them the land. He didn't give them the true, not the lease, but he didn't give them the true documents for it. What he gave them, the word he gave them, it was called something basically a piece of paper that said you can hold it if nobody else wants it.
Exactly. And
so
they started that off. Sherman had
promissory deeds.
Yeah,
there you go.
Sherman, and I won't even say Sherman had the right idea, but he had the right beginnings, because what everybody likes to talk about, oh, well, Lincoln freed you guys. Lincoln wanted us to leave.
Well,
Lincoln
not just leave,
free us and get us the hell up out of here.
Well, not just leave. Remember, during the war, as they were burning plantations, they were asking black people to stay and still produce cotton for the North.
Yes, it's like, we missed you guys. We're sorry, but not really. That the whole the existence of Liberia today proves that at some point they were like, we can't have y'all here. We just can't. There's no way in hell this is going to work. So we'll tell you what, we'll give you some land back in Africa. Now, they were very specific where they got us from, but they weren't very specific where they sent us back to. Hey, Liberia. Go to Liberia. Everybody go to Liberia. What's Liberia? I don't know.
Or Haiti.
Go.
Yeah.
But if you
can I interrupt you for a moment, because I just have to read what Sabrina Marie said. I have missed too much, so I will have to watch the replay. But look at the power flowing out of this trio right here, people. This is where it's at. Much love, Sabrina. Thank you. But I
Thank you,
think most of
Sabrina.
the power is coming from these two guys right here. So
Absolutely. I absolutely love Sabrina. She is awesome. But yeah, it's if they were to tell the story, you see, the thing is, and I really believe, honestly, God truth, I believe, yeah, it's called promissory deeds. That's what he gave them. But I truly believe that and hear me out when I say this. And in fact, I mean what I say. I'm gonna say it with my whole chest. Liberals don't want it taught either.
Nope.
Nope.
And that's
They don't
that's
want
where the idea of partisanship pisses me off. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's where the idea of partisanship pisses me off, because liberals don't want this. Progressive liberals in America do not want this, because it's going to not put them in a good light either. Think about it this way. John Brown is the ultimate abolitionist. John Brown was willing to spill blood to end the scourge of slavery. All right. Compared to John Brown, what good is Nancy Pelosi taking a knee in a kente outfit? What is that?
Nothing.
You're not impressing me, Nancy. You and Chuck Schumer and all of y'all taking a knee is not impressive compared to John Brown. John Brown's whole thing was, this is a scourge. This is evil. It has to go. And if you start teaching this, liberals are going to realize how far down, like how little minimum effort they've given compared to everybody else. You see what I'm saying? So we know conservatives don't want it, but liberals don't want it either, because we get to start looking at them and going, you mean to tell me y'all didn't know this? This is a shock to you?
Yep.
No, don't be shocked. This is where all that sloganeering was covering up. All that freedom and liberty, this is what it was covering up. As a liberal progressive, you should have known this.
But check this out, right? You know how the Republican Party says, well, we're the party of Lincoln. See, this is where things come in a little bit hasty. It's like, okay, then let's talk about this. When General Sherman's Order 15, after Lincoln was assassinated and Andrew Johnson began to take over, people don't understand that he started pardoning Confederate people to go back to their plantations, forcing black people to already become sharecroppers before sharecroppers made up. But it was basically a leasing program. And what they did is, that's when they started taking this land away from black people who were still tilling it, making crops, growing cotton and everything else. And that's what promissory deeds were. He said, and in fact, the president
possessory.
Possessory deeds. Yeah. But that's where he actually asked him. He said, did you really think it was gonna fly? And you know what he told him? He said, well, I knew that they weren't gonna fly. We're gonna wait till legislative actions happen to maybe give this land to black people. And of course he said, well, and of course that sorry president, racist, who took over, of course they're both racist, but he said, well, guess what? This ain't gonna happen. Reason why I said they're both racist, because Lincoln was charging black people who just started working more money for every acre than white people.
But see, and plus people also have to realize that during the Civil War, Lincoln was kind of, I mean, to me, and everything that I've read and know about it, Lincoln was kind of at the point where he kind of had to free the slaves.
No, it was enslaved people saying, you need our help.
Yes,
right. So I'm like, so it was like, well, either you're gonna do it this way or you're gonna do it that way, but it's not something he wanted to do.
No, he
did not want to do that.
If he could have preserved the Union by keeping us in chains, he would have done it. He even said it.
Yes.
If I can preserve the Union,
yes,
and keep slavery, I will.
Yes.
If I can
so
preserve
y'all
the Union
be the
and get rid of it,
of Lincoln, whatever. Y'all can be the party of Lincoln, but understand who Lincoln was.
He had a book. Lerone Bennett Jr. wrote a book called "Forced into Glory." That Lincoln was forced into glory.
Yeah,
his hand was forced.
This is what I'm saying. Right.
And again, if you look at it, liberals do not like it because there are no white heroes throughout it. Like
John Brown.
The reason I brought up John Brown is because he's the only one who was willing to. His conviction was, this is an evil. What do you do to an evil? You get rid of it. There
Well, you
are
know what?
no, there's no
gonna have
other
to
And his
disagree.
sons.
I'm
And
gonna
his sons.
and his sons.
I'm going to have to disagree in terms of saying the only one. He may have been the only one in his time, but I will say this: I have to applaud white people who got on a bus down south.
Oh
knowing-
yes.
Okay.
knowing that
Okay.
they
The freedom
were-
rides.
those
The
are
freedom
the-
rides.
if you
Yes.
had white people who did lose their lives, and very few. I mean, you have a lot of, like the Nancy Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's. Yes, taking a knee. You are going, yeah, right. But at the same time, Mitch McConnell and all them jokers over there are not even going to get down.
They're
to
not.
take
Yeah,
knee.
a knee.
You have very
Well,
few
but-
white people who are truly, when
But
they
real
say
quick.
I'm on your side, are you on your side
Oh.
to go the
But let me finish that
I'm talking
story
about
real
now.
quick.
I'm talking about like
Well,
right now.
right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me finish that real quick story. All right. Before we go on to those children and SNCC, because you are very correct when you say that, Solid. But when you turn the corner about what ended up happening coming out of slavery, they allow white Northerners, and white Northerners would come down south with bags of money to outbid black people. See, the thing is, Northern people didn't say white people, you're not allowed to come down here. In fact, there were ads up there about Southern property that they wanted them to come and get. So then even when President Johnson, when they tried to pass legislative law to give black people 40 acres, the president Andrew Johnson, he vetoed it.
Mhm.
Yep.
And now remember, a veto only takes what? How much did it take? 2/3.
2/3 of Congress to override it.
Guess who was in charge of Congress? The Republican Party.
Yes.
So
Yes.
therefore, if they really thought that they wanted to do something for us, why back then, Republican Party? Did they not override those votes and give us our land?
They wouldn't. And again, I go back to this idea. Now, when you come up to the civil rights movement, there are so many white, I won't even call them saviors, but there were people who were willing to put their lives on the line for voting rights, right? But at the end of slavery, there was abolitionists, but I look at them more along the lines of I compare him to John Brown. That to me, John Brown, it symbolizes what, if you really are determined to do it, if white folks in this country were really determined to get rid of this history, John Brown, I'm not saying you got to kill anybody, but at the same time, you have to have that sort of passion. During the civil rights movement, I think there were some white folks that were there for the cause. They wanted to get black people registered. And there were a whole lot of what would be considered progressives today that were against them.
Mm-hmm.
We can have equality, just not right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you flash forward till today, where it's called wokeness to bring these things up. Nobody ever brings those white folks up. Nobody. If you noticed, that's not a part of wokeness. These white civil rights workers, the white freedom riders and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
that would all be covered under an AP African American Studies. Nobody even wants to bring them up. If you look at somebody like DeSantis, who believes that there's no educational value in teaching AP African American Studies, and then you think that there have been white people throughout the entirety of the civil rights movement that actually helped, is he really talking about there not being any educational value in general, or is he just talking about for white people? And if that's the case, then what you really have to ask yourself is, are you really talking about AP American history when there are white people throughout American history who have helped, who have advocated for and fought for and marched with and died and were part of those sit-ins? Are you basically saying for white people, there's nothing in AP history, African American history, for them? Because if we're talking about just in general, AP African American history is American history.
It is.
That's right.
I mean,
The entirety of it is history.
But
So-
save John Brown. But
Look,
save
Lloyd,
John Brown.
Let me interrupt you one more time. I have to give the time check. We're at 1 hour and 13 minutes.
All right, let's get 12 more minutes left.
And no, I mean, I'm willing to go as long as y'all want to go.
Oh no. I only got 12 minutes. I got a baby shower to go to.
But I just had
Y'all.
I said I was going to do my little time check. So anyway,
Right.
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, most people only hear about John Brown and Harper's Ferry, and they don't do an extensive search about John Brown in Kansas. And people will be like, "Why do y'all love John Brown so much? Because of Harper's Ferry?" I say, "Hell no, we love John Brown so much because of Kansas.
Because of Kansas,
bleeding Kansas."
Bleeding
and when people
Kansas. He went over there and he made it bleed because he was willing to stop slavery by any means necessary. That was his thing. If some people have to die in order for us to get rid of this very nasty, very peculiar institution, so be it. And that same spirit, there's a I forgot her last name, but she's on TikTok. Her grandson does
Mulholland.
Yes, Mulholland. She was there. She was part of the Freedom Rides, right?
Yes.
So how is her let's just say all of AP African American history, we just peeled it away and just talked about her. She's part of African American history.
Yes.
You mean to tell me there's no educational value with her? There's no educational value with the two gentlemen that died in Money, Mississippi, along with the black poll worker.
I guess. How about Swarner, Goodman, and Cheney? That's what you're talking about.
Thank you. Those are the three.
There's no educational value in any of our stories. Period. Whether we're well known or whatever, it's like we all have stories. We all have history and.
He went into this idea that part of it was queer studies. There have been queer people within the movement since day one. What are you talking
about? But this is what I want to. Even this is where you body slam him the most when he doesn't even understand the African American history of Florida itself, the Seminole Wars. If he doesn't understand how black people were escaping, going through Georgia to get down to St. Augustine, the very first black community was right there in Florida. He doesn't want to. I mean, those are the things that he don't want to talk about. He don't want to talk about the Battle of Negro Fort, where of course where black people were getting down there and they were actually fighting with Seminoles and and fighting against people like Andrew Jackson, right?
Yep.
The $20 bill guy, right. See, so they don't. That's the history that they don't want to talk about. Is that hey, Florida itself is rich with the black history. How about Bethune-Cookman College right there in Florida? You don't want to talk about that. Now I know they're going through a lot of things right now with the Ed Reed situation, but still, you still got to talk about Bethune-Cookman.
We have such a and that. To separate African American history from American history is like trying to separate your engine from your car. No matter how that thing's not going to move. It's not going to move. Now, is every single aspect of African American history in American history pleasant? No, it isn't. Face facts. This country did not get great simply by waking up one morning and being the greatest country on earth. It happens. But at the exact same time where you want to try to dissect, you want to use a scalpel to try to cut through history. Well, let's take this part out because it might make people feel uncomfortable. Let's take this part. You are bastardizing history. It's no longer history. It's a myth. And then the more you cut, the bigger the myth becomes.
Well, you just said something. So I have a question for both of you. You just said something, and I really want to segue, and I want to ask Solid this, and then of course I want you to go for it, Thomas. You're the guest. And this is my question. What would it take to make America great? Solid.
I'm going to let Solid go first on this one. Ladies first.
Well, okay. Well, can we start talking about black women?
Of
course.
Can we talk about black women? Because, black women, when you just go back in time, even in Massa's house, it was the black women who was pretty much telling Massa what to do. It wasn't Miss Ann that was running the plantation. It was my grandmother, your great grandmother, whatever.
Yep.
We have always, if you just take black women and just their strength, whatever, or just if you just look at, if we were to totally redo America, and we took black people away where we were not slaves, we didn't come over here at all. This would be an entirely different country. If you let the Native Americans have the land that they had, it would be an entirely different country. And I don't think that it would be so great.
No.
Because colonizers, you don't do anything great. You take after it's been made great. and then you screw it up.
Yep.
Because so I say you need to look at who actually made this country. And sorry guys, but it's people that look like me. It's people that look like Native Americans. I mean, hell, you even look at the railroad. Chinese people pretty much built the railroad. It wasn't the Rockefellers. It may have been their money, but the backbone and what have you, it was Chinese people mostly.
Yep.
It's like, I mean, seriously, we look at it exactly. What have you all done besides take
nothing.
stuff away after it's been built up? What have you all done?
That's the thing. They've done nothing.
I'm gonna get a hat that says "Make America Great Now." Magna.
Yes.
By go ahead. No, how are we gonna make it great? How are we gonna make it
I
great?
don't think you want to do the whole make
America. Yeah, America has to dismantle its myths. America has to dismantle its myths. Number one, this country was covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't. There is no such thing as the greatness of America without bloodshed. And the bloodshed that happened were the people that you didn't think looked like you or weren't as good as you. You start with the native and indigenous people, the enslavement of the black, the brown, the black people, the exploitation of the brown people, the exploitation of what they call yellow people, where they're actually Chinese. Exploitation built this country. But then what we did was you had a group exploiting, and you had a figurehead on top, a Rockefeller, what's that guy's name? Damn it, I can't think of his name. Hirsch, William Randolph Hearst. So you have the exploitation, which is how America operated. It's how they make that's how they make the sausage. But then on the top of it, you have a face. You've got a myth. Well, the JP Morgans of the country. That's it. We have to get rid of those myths. We have to. We have to understand that there is nothing in this country that was given to us or created by us that did not have some sort of exploitation, death, and destruction a part of it. You know what I mean? So the very first thing is you get rid of the myths. Once you get rid of the myths, you level the playing field.
But that's hard to do, though.
Of course, because America is built by myths. The greatness of America was built by a myth. So once you get rid of that, you got this big old void. Well, what do you fill the void with? Honesty. You can say this country is great, but you can also say this country has not always been great, and it has never been defined by that greatness. It was created with that greatness in mind, but it was not built by that greatness. It was built by bloodshed. It was built by crooked men. It was built by crooked land deals. It was built through the bullet, through the sword, through the lash, through slavery. It was built this way. Once you finally get to that agreement, you then teach it to the next generation. You don't hide from it. When a husband and wife go through a divorce, the first thing they think of is the kids. Well, what are the kids going to say? Well, you have to be honest with the kids. Me and mom are not going to work out. So I'm going to go here. Mom's going to go here. And the ugliness is going to happen. The divorce is going to be ugly. But at the end, you end up with an equitable situation, hopefully, where the child is not deprived of having mom and having dad, or the resources that mom and dad would bring to the table so that they can have a normal life. America refuses to divorce itself from our myths.
I love
that. As long as those myths are there, we don't have to ever acknowledge our ugliness. This push towards the idea of being wokeness is there are a lot of Americans that are waking up and divorcing the myths and the slogans from real life. Real life is there are white people that get killed by police, just like black folks. Why aren't white folks standing up and arguing against it? Reality is everybody, whether they're black, white, or otherwise, is one paycheck away from economic ruin and living on the street. Reality is our democracy lives at the will and the whim and the votes of Black women, because everybody else got an agenda. Black women just want the truth. As a Black man, I'm saying this. There are far too many of us that believe in a Republican lie. Sorry, they believe it to their heart. Black women don't. Black women don't have the time or the luxury to believe in the myths. So when they go in the voting booth, they're voting for what they know democracy is. Our democracy has been saved election after election after election by Black women. The myth is every vote matters and we're all that. No. In reality, white men are going to vote against their own best interest. White women are going to support their men, so they're going to vote against their own best interest.
That's right.
And there are a lot of bitter Black men who never achieved anything and want to blame Black women. Black women are the only ones in the whole equation that have to be honest with themselves and everybody else around them. That the myth is one thing, reality is something else. Once you get rid of the myths, once you get past the slogans, you can have an honest and frank conversation. Is it going to be pleasant? No. It isn't. But the myths were the easiest part. The truth is what scares people. The truth is Ron DeSantis is a piss poor governor. Now, he could talk about all the wokeness, this, that, and the third, and Florida's where woke goes to die. No, Florida is where ideas go to die. Florida is where healthcare goes to healthcare for all goes to die. Florida is where a livable wage goes to die. You're just using woke because you have nothing else. So take that myth away from him, and you say, Ron, what else you got? If we're not listening anymore about wokeness, what else do you have? Well, I got tax cuts and privatization. Shut up. We're done with you now. That's how if you break a myth, you're left with the truth. And if you're left with just the truth and you teach it to the next generation coming up, those myths mean less as they go on. A 6-year-old that learns that America was all about slavery and genocide will grow up to be a 36-year-old adult that won't vote for the party that still thinks that's okay. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The party that the kid's going to grow up and go, wait a minute. I don't want to hear about the greatness. I don't. Tell me the truth. How did this place get here? How did this place become what it is?
But unfortunately, we're still at the point where at least for me, I have to look at the lesser of two evils, and that's why we need more than two political parties. Exactly. Because the other party that we're still supporting is just one step unevil than the other.
They don't call us the N-word in public.
Right. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. For America to be great, I think America needs to be built from the ground up, and everyone needs to be at the seat. Yes, and we need a total redistribution of. Some people say redistribution of wealth. No, we need a total redistribution of politics. We need a total redistribution of resources.
Yes,
I honestly think that to make America great, we got to put away capitalism.
It has to go.
Yeah, we have to put away patriarchal thoughts, and with that, white supremacy goes out the door. I think there should be a livable wage.
Absolutely.
I think we should get paid to live. Everyone should just get paid to live. And if you want to do something else extra for money, to go for it. See, these are all ways that you could actually solve crime. There's actually places that did away with entire police departments, and guess what? They're actually doing well. In fact, crime went down over 41% in one place that did away with police departments.
Yeah, 41%. Police don't solve anything.
Exactly. What happened is the people became their own watching over each other. And not like a neighborhood watch. No, they became their own system of a structure of everyone knew everybody. So when someone was at a place, they had questions. Hold on, who are you? Why are you here? So my thing is we have to come up with some type of way of collectivism and communalism. I do not believe that government. I don't think that a democracy or how we're doing it right now. It's America's too big for that.
It's gone past it. We have an empire now.
Yeah,
we have an empire now.
Exactly. We need to break it up.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, and I'm not talking about seceding, but we need to break it up. We need some type of systemic breakup of certain areas of the United States because because we are too big to be governed by just two parties
Mhm.
and two ways of thought to doing something.
Yep.
Exactly. Mhm.
And so if you break it up, and if we break it up, plain and simple, people don't understand that a part of secession. Y'all know New York wanted to succeed, but they just didn't want to be part of the Confederacy. But New York wanted to secede too. People don't
Yes.
know that.
Yes. They just
California.
was like, nah, we're good.
Well,
Yeah,
see,
New York was one of the first ones who wanted to secede. New York was like,
Mhm.
hey, we want to get up out of this. So a lot of people need to study that and understand why they want to secede. But I think we need to break it all up because if not, it's gonna fall apart anyway.
It absolutely is. It's I think we've gotten to the point now where sloganeering and slogans and the myth of America, it's waning. If you go anywhere on this planet, the ugly American is a known thing now. And I think the rest of the world kind of tolerates us because number one, we have our nukes the same way gun owners have guns on them in America. Our nukes is what keep a whole lot of people quiet.
yeah,
If
your
we
military.
didn't have the nuclear arsenal that we do, there'd be a whole lot of countries that'd be like, I don't want Americans here. I don't want them here. I don't want them around because they don't do anything except make things worse. You have a world, I won't even call it a collage, a corporation of worlds, of countries. These countries, they tolerate each other. They get along. Some do, some don't. But then America comes in and makes everything worse. Everything.
Yep.
And we're so bad at it that the rest of the world looks at us running from history and they ask themselves, so what are you guys saying that you're great about? You won't even face your own history. You won't even face the ugliness that you have done. But you want to spread democracy to the rest of us. Well, in any democracy, there has to be truth.
That's
How
right.
the hell we send in something to everybody else that we can't do to ourselves?
Facts.
We can tell the rest of the world, hey, France, remember when we saved y'all? Hey, Britain, remember when we loaned you money? We can't do that to ourselves.
That's right.
And as long as we keep pretending, we're gonna end up in this. But it's waning. Kids nowadays they're not trying to hear that. They're not. The older generation still buys into the greatness of America. The rest of the generations coming up after us, especially after the three of us, they don't believe in that. They don't. And good for them. Good
That's
for
right.
them. They're the ones. We have basically built our own arsonists. The further one party keeps running away from teaching the history of this country, the more the generations underneath us will go find. And eventually they're going to burn this place down. I'll probably be long dead and I'll be burn it down, man. It has to go. What do they say about forest fires?
Only
Sometimes
you can prevent them.
yeah, sometimes they burn, but they soil the land so that something else can grow.
Yes.
Wokeness right now
Wow.
is them trying to fight against a forest fire. And when it burns all those myths down and something new grows up, at least you will know that, hey, at least we're being honest about it.
Awesome.
I think that's what the problem is. America just does not want to be honest about our faults. But that's okay, because the next generation will make damn sure that they do so. Whether you want to or not, you will be honest. You will be, because the next generation ain't playing with y'all. They're not. You listen to that.
And I'm gonna say, and on that note, because we're at the 133 mark. We're at the 133
I apologize
mark.
for talking
No,
so
no,
much.
no. We're gonna have you again. We gotta have you again.
Somebody who is coming back, and I actually have someone that I have reached out to who I would love for you to be on the show with.
Okay.
The complete opposite of the three of us.
Uh-oh.
But I think, but this person is very respectful, whatever, and he listens and whatever. So, but on that note, guys, we are going to end it. Please make sure you follow all of us on TikTok, YouTube, wherever, whatever. And again, Thomas.
Thank you. Both of you. Seriously. Sister DA, I appreciate both of y'all. I genuinely
thank you.
Y'all
thank
so
you,
much.
Man. I tell you, you're a breath of fresh air. Like I said, and you can go. And you have so much knowledge. No, really. As someone, sometimes I'm just saying, I'd be like, I want to say something, but no, I'm just gonna sit back and listen. Let me go on. If y'all see that I'm looking over, I'm over here writing notes, typing notes. I'm like, man, I got this down right here. I got me some new slogans out of this. Talking about, hey, America ain't nothing but a myth, but but if they start listening to the truth, I'm gonna put some really good stuff together.
Listen, I can't wait. I know I will probably be old and dead and gone, but when the myths start getting burned down by the next generation, whoever's here for that, and I'm saying this and I'm gonna be out, whoever's here for that, enjoy it, because we've earned it. America has earned the myths to be burned down in the middle of the square with young people's smiles on their faces. The theys, the gays, the thems, the who's, the this, the that, and I can't wait. I'm serious. I cannot wait to watch it happen. But I thank y'all for this. I genuinely thank y'all for this.
I genuinely thank you and I know DA does. And for everyone that was in the chat, you all are saying thank you. I thank you all for showing up. So thank you. Thank you. So on that note, I am going to end it. We will be back on Saturday, February the 11th. February the 11th.
We'll talk.
Okay.
Well, remember, I'm picking up my son during that time frame.
Oh, that's right. Well, y'all, we'll let you know. But anyway, but on that note, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day or weekend wherever you are in the world. And
peace. Thank you, everyone.
See y'all.
All right.